something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And kicking off another brand new hour live from the shadow of Detroit here in the heartland and the Rust Belt, kicking off another brand new day here at the Steve Gruber Show from the foxhole of freedom, which makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? It's a good plan to have right now. Let's do it now. A lot to cover. Three big things today. Number one, North Carolina, the latest state to move forward with a redistricting plan that will likely add at least one Republican seat to Congress. The latest response to California's gerrymandering plan. Number two, a group of Republican House members moving ahead with a plan to extend Obamacare subsidies, but they will not go forward until Democrats end the government shutdown. And number three, it's time to draw your attention to a bloodbath. An outright slaughter that's been going on right under our noses, and the fake news media and those screeching left-wing activists couldn't care less. We're talking about something important today. Openly now about the genocide that's a real genocide that nobody seems to care about. I'm talking about the vicious, unrelenting violence against Christians in Nigeria. Yeah, you heard that right. Christians being hunted like animals and slaughtered by radical Islamist militants, and the world yawns. Picture this. Innocent families huddled in their villages, praying in their churches, only to be ambushed by jihadist thugs from groups like Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen. These savages storming with AK-47s, machetes, and fire, slaughtering men, women, and children in cold blood. Listen to this pastor who had 150 of his congregants and 7 of his own brothers murdered in front of him. Here he is.
What really happened here is not only in this village that were affected by this crisis. We're affected by more than 11 villages, which Mayanga happens to be one. And in these villages, it is the same method of attack that was conducted. It's the killing, the maiming of people, slaughtering them, and burning of their houses and their foodstuffs and properties. So by now, by the record we have already collected, we have over 150 people that are killed in one day. As you could see, I'm standing here. This is my house in my village, and I lost everything that was in the house, both foodstuff, clothing, and whatever. It was a furnished house, but it is burnt. And even the church that is by my side was burnt, and the pastorium is burnt. Everything about us here in this village is confused. As you could see that everything is destroyed. But we thank God that some of us are alive. And at the cost of this, like me now, I lost 7 of my brothers at the cost of this crisis that happened. Thank you.
Why is nobody talking about this? Why? Churches burned to the ground, pastors kidnapped and beheaded, entire communities wiped off the map, and for what? Because these folks dare to follow Jesus Christ in a region where Sharia law and extremism run rampant? It's not just random crime, folks. It's a targeted persecution, a slow-rolling, deadly genocide aimed at erasing Christianity from northern Nigeria altogether. The mainstream media might be silent, but these pastors are sharing their stories left and right, and I will not be silent. Here's another one who says he wishes he could spend his time preaching the gospel, but instead is having to bury his Christian brothers and sisters every single day. Here's more.
The house of the pastor was also burned down. Every day we bury people. We are not ordained for funeral services. We are ordained to preach the good news of Jesus Christ. But burial has taken, in fact, the place of that one now. So we want to stand here and condemn this that happens. Every time when it happens,
it's horrible. It's horrible. This horror fueled by extreme Islamic ideology, plain and simple. Terrorist groups like Boko Haram pledge allegiance to ISIS and push a version of Islam that demands jihad against infidels. That's Christians and others in their book. Murder them all. They enforce Sharia law through terror, banning Western education, subjugating women, and executing anyone who doesn't submit. The Fulani militants, radicalized by similar Wahhabi influences, justify their land grabs and massacres as holy war, blending tribal conflicts with religious fanaticism to wipe out Christian farmers. This isn't moderate anything. It's the dark underbelly of radical Islam that feeds hatred, intolerance, and violence. We've seen it before. In ISIS caliphates, Taliban rule, and now it's devouring Nigeria, one bloody village at a time, and nobody is talking about it. We will. And don't think it's just going to stop there. This Nigerian pastor tells the truth about extreme Islam ideology. Here is his prediction.
In the north of Nigeria, Christians are being killed daily because the Islamic militants don't want Christians to exist in the north of Nigeria. They want to see a world where there are no Christians at all. And they want to conquer not just Nigeria, they want to conquer Africa, they want to conquer Europe, and they want to conquer America. The younger generation who want to live in a better world must speak out today.
Yeah. Genocide. Where is MSNBC or CNN or the big news outlets like NBC, ABC, CBS, the New York Times? Where are you? Open Doors ranks Nigeria as one of the worst places on earth for believers. Jihadist attacks are skyrocketing, and the government's doing squat about it. In fact, the Nigerian government is straight up denying that it's even happening. But the blood of these fallen saints cries out from the ground louder than those denials, louder. Listen.
We are tired to be outside performing burial every day. And they expect us to silence. Now, it's an order. Nigerian government came out openly and denied there is no massacre, there is no genocide of Christians in Nigeria. And look at it today. Is there any Muslim here? United Nations, I know you're watching me. American Senate, you are watching what I'm doing, I'm saying here. Special advisor to Trump. Now, please tell Trump to save our life in Nigeria. They are killing Christians in Nigeria, massacre Christians.
And here's where it gets me fired up, folks. The hypocrisy of the so-called progressive crowd, especially those pro-Palestine protesters clogging up our college campuses and city streets. Oh, they're out there waving flags, chanting slogans, demanding justice for Gaza. And don't get me wrong, any loss of innocent life is tragic, but where's the outrage for the slaughter of Nigerian Christians? Where is the outrage? Where's the campus protest? Yeah, these same activists who lose their minds over every headline from the Middle East are stone cold silent when it comes to Africa. Why? You know why? It doesn't fit their narrative. And because it seems to me that Christians don't matter to them at all. It's slaughter. It's genocide. And we'll have more. It's time we talk about this, my friends. Say your prayers for these people. They need them. More on the Steve Gruber Show, still to come. Let me pick it up right there, because in Gaza, as you know, the progressives can paint Israel as the big bad guy, stir up anti-Western sentiment and virtue signal to their heart's content. But in Nigeria, the perpetrators are Muslim extremists, murdering Christians. Oops, that messes with the religion of peace myth and all of that nonsense, right? It messes with that whole narrative and the less allergy to defending Judeo-Christian values. They don't care about these individuals because acknowledging it would expose their selective outrage. No marches in New York for the Nigerian martyrs. No celebrity tweets. No UN resolutions. Just crickets as Christians in Nigeria mourn the loss of their homes, their churches, and their loved ones by the hundreds and thousands, and respond like this, not with bombs, but with worship. Listen to them.
We praise your name. To protect us, to guide us, Lord.
It is truly heartbreaking, isn't it? The fake news peddlers have Gaza on a 24/7 loop. Every bomb, every casualty, front page splashes day after day, citing the Hamas-run health ministry as some sort of a credible source, which of course it's not. The short breaks in the ceasefire, front page news. But as thousands of innocents die in Nigeria, what do we get? Barely a whisper. Bill Maher, an avowed atheist, yeah, even that guy, a liberal comedian, called out the media for ignoring the Christian persecution in Nigeria while obsessing over other conflicts. Obsessing. Here's Bill Maher.
If you don't know what's going on in Nigeria, your media sources suck. You are in a bubble. And again, I'm not a Christian, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They've killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burned 18,000 churches. This is so much more. These are their Islamists, Boko Haram. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. Where are the kids protesting this?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Because no one will talk about it, so thank you.
Absolutely.
It's Africa. That's why no one's talking about it, and they should be. You can't read about it in mainstream media. It's sad, so thank you for bringing it up.
Well, because the Jews aren't involved. That's why. It's the Christians and the Muslims. Who cares?
Just the Christians and the Muslims. Who cares? Online discussions are buzzing about it. Why the negligible coverage for Nigeria compared to Gaza? Think about it. Search for Gaza news. You'll be inundated. Thousands of articles. CNN and New York Times, the BBC. Search for Nigerian Christian violence. Good luck finding more than a handful. It's not because the stories aren't there. It's because the media elite prioritize narratives that bash Israel and America while ignoring threats from radical Islam. Let's bring it home. This extreme Islamic ideology is not only toxic to Nigeria, it has no place in America. We can't let Sharia law creep in through the back door, undermining our Constitution, our freedoms, and our way of life, which is what it currently threatens to do. In fact, it's been promised by some mullahs living here now. And that's why I'm cheering people like Senator Tommy Tuberville, who just introduced the No Sharia Act to ban Sharia law forever, outright in the United States, clearly, in black and white. Here he is.
You also won't hear from Democrats about how radical Islamic terrorists are currently carrying out a mass genocide of Christians in Nigeria. Think about this. More than 62,000 Christians have been slaughtered since 2000 by radical Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. You heard that right, 62,000. And just this year alone, more than 7,000 Nigerian Christians have been murdered because of their faith alone. You can't turn on the TV without hearing about Israel's so-called mass genocide of Palestinians every day. And yet when it comes to 62,000 Christians being slaughtered by radical Muslims, it's radio silence. This extreme ideology is straight from the pit of hell, and it has no place in American society.
No place. Alongside Senator Cornyn, Tuberville's bill slams the door on any attempt to oppose this foreign legal system that clashes with our values. Think forced marriages, honor killings, or the end of free speech. My friends, we cannot stand by silently. This is about defending our values, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, including the freedom to worship without fear. Share this. Call your members of Congress. Support leaders like Senator Tuberville, who will keep America great by leading on the world stage. The pro-Palestinian crowd might not care, but I do. I do. Let's pray for those Nigerian brothers and sisters and fight like hell to bring their plight to the forefront. Bring it to light and save those that are left. And again, I ask you today, who's with me? Why is this story being ignored, my friends? It should not be. Fall is right around the corner. And that means it's flannel season. It's chilly outside. You know that. It's muskox season, the undisputed leader in heavyweight flannel. It's got you covered. Their brand new heavyweight flannels are on the way, and they're already rated by Gear Junkie as the best flannel every year since 2023. These aren't your average shirts. These shouldn't even be called shirts. Muskox flannels are crafted with the softest, double-brushed, 100% cotton that feels as good as it looks. Plus, every flannel sold gives back $5 goes straight to wildlife conservation. So step up your fall wardrobe right now. Make a difference, too. GoMuskox.com. You're going to love this shirt. This shouldn't even be called a shirt. It's a family heirloom waiting to happen. And if you get to wear it before your wife takes it, good for you. And if she takes it, buy yourself another one. GoMuskox.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save $15 off each shirt. Muskox flannel. It's the best. GoMuskox.com/Gruber. Grab yours today. I'll be right back. For those who would say, well, you just support everything Trump does. No, that's not true. All right, let me give you an example of something that's happened this week that I don't agree with on the front end. I'd have to have a lot more details to get on board with it. And that is the idea of buying a lot of Argentinian beef. America produces the best beef in the world. It contributes $112 billion to rural economies. And Donald Trump floated the idea that we would buy beef from Argentina. Well, it didn't take long for Republicans to push back. People like Julie Fetterchak, a Republican of North Dakota, and a group of Republicans saying it has rattled the American beef industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry. In recent days, we've heard strong concerns from producers regarding reports that the U.S. may import beef from Argentina. Now, I realize that Donald Trump has a close relationship with Milei, and he should. And I understand that Milei is fighting for Argentina, and he should. But not at the expense of farmers and ranchers here in the United States. If it's America first, it's America first. That doesn't mean Argentinian beef, it means American beef. Donald Trump says he's trying to make it cheaper for beef in the grocery store. Well, if you do that, you're going to hurt American producers as well. They've worked for decades to produce the best beef in the world right here in America, and we do. So no, I don't agree with Donald Trump on everything, that's for sure. One of the things we're thinking about doing is beef from Argentina, Trump told reporters on Air Force One. We'll buy some beef from Argentina. If we do that, we'll bring our beef prices down. Well, that's not a good idea for beef producers here. So tread carefully, Mr. President. I respect farmers and ranchers, and you too. But I don't think you have the full picture. So before you go diving into buying foreign beef, take a deeper look. That's my hope for you, Mr. President. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at the Wellness Company. No matter what supplements you might need, an emergency kit at home, whatever it might be, the Wellness Company has something for you today. They can help you out with supplements for your mind, your gut, these emergency kits. Let me reach right over here and show you one right here. Never get stuck without the medicines you need. Antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, all in one place. TWC.health/Gruber. You can get these kits today. Never be worried, just be prepared. TWC.health/Gruber. Get your kits today. I'll be right back with a crazy story you need to hear, all right? Welcome back to the program. We're going to tell you a heck of a story here in the next few minutes that maybe you've not heard before. My next guest, Gordon Goodrow, former U.S. Army Special Forces Green Beret and a mercenary who was targeted, he said, facing several years in prison for arms trafficking and so much more, but it's a much bigger story than that. Jordan, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, years in prison, lampooned in the media for his failed Bay of Piglets, they call it. Now, I've not heard this story, so I want you to lay it out for me. Tell me the background here of what happened in 2020.
Yeah, in 2020, the Trump administration was trying to do what they're doing now, which is get Maduro out and bring about fair and free elections. And back then, as you remember, it was a tail end of the Russia collusion hoax, Mueller report, things of that nature, where the CIA, FBI, and other bad actors in Hollywood or in DC were trying to attack the president and his administration, and we got caught up in that. So the CIA did not want to comply with the intent of the commander in chief, which was to get Maduro out. They were dragging their feet and doing low-level infrastructure attack operations, things of that nature. And so I was recruited by individuals close, in the administration to facilitate the operation and to facilitate the removal of Maduro to bring about fair and free elections.
So let me get this straight, just so we're clear on this. Trump and his administration wanted to overthrow the dictator Maduro in Venezuela at that time, and you were recruited to be part of that. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, that's correct.
And so who was recruiting you? Well, was Donald Trump part and parcel to this? Was this something going on behind the scenes that he had not been brought up to speed on? What is your belief?
Yeah, so his it was really his inner circle. And so, sure, representations were made to me that this was approved at the highest levels. I needed to give the president deniability. I have an extensive human intelligence background in special operations. But I think the real interesting part of this story, Steve, is the fact that in the very first meeting, and I do not think that these individuals who were recruiting me were bad individuals or siding with CIA or anything like that. But as the operation developed, in the very first meeting I was in, there was a CIA asset, George Betancourt, who worked with Leopoldo Lopez and was working with the Rendon Group, which had a TSSCI project in that company at that time for infrastructure attacks in Venezuela. And so you had, and there's a secret recording where, George Betancourt, this individual who was in this meeting, this first meeting where I was, I've been recruited to do this, where we were talking about a regime change in Venezuela and actually drawing up plans. One of his compadres, Lester Toledo, who had several meetings with Mike Pompeo, several meetings with Elliot Abrams. These individuals, there was a secret recording where they actually were talking really bad about the president of the United States. They didn't trust the president of the United States. They only trusted Juan Cruz of the CIA. And it was a secret recording that I had one of my guys take. So this story, as you said, nobody really knows it. The suppression on this story has been very, very, very strong. And I believe that's by the
Well, let me just jump right in there because Mike Pompeo, not a favorite, of course, of the president. We're clear on that. He, in fact, has basically tossed him out of civilized government, if you will. Is this Mike Pompeo's plan, or is this a plan of the president? What you're saying here is that we are plotting to overthrow Maduro to have regime change here in the Western Hemisphere, and you've got evidence of that. That's what you're telling me. Was it Pompeo's plan?
Yes, it's very clearly. The plan ultimately was to undermine the president of the United States. And yes, I feel it was Mike Pence with Mike Pompeo. Everything I'm reading leads me to believe that it's Elliot Abrams, these nefarious actors who are working to undermine the president of the United States back then. And so I think you see a lot of it nowadays as well. But you certainly saw it with obviously the Russia collusion hoax and things of that nature. And so this was just another attempt to undermine the president.
Undermine him in a way to go after Venezuela, to go after Colombia, to go after some of these other governments? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. So they were working with the Venezuelan opposition against the president. Obviously, the president wanted to bring about fair and free elections in Venezuela, much like he is trying to do now. The CIA did not want that. They were working against that.
Why?
And Mike Pompeo, it's the money, Steve, as far as I can tell. I mean, there's several, if you look at, there's a lawsuit right now that's not well known. It's against Juan Guaido, the opposition president, and it's several military contract companies. Raytheon's one of them, where Juan Guaido essentially stole billions of dollars from these individuals. And so, early on in this Trump administration, the second administration, you had the Doge who was rooting out all of the USAID. Billions of that money, billions of dollars went to Juan Guaido and Leopoldo Lopez, other opposition leaders. So I think the president, there's potential that he's walking to a trap right now in this latest Venezuela campaign.
I mean, what you're accusing these folks of would be part and parcel to treason as defined by the United States Constitution.
I believe you're right. And unfortunately for them, it's in black and white. It's not just FBI 302s. It's all of the evidence that I have in discovery that my legal team and I read daily.
So where do you go from here? You were accused of federal arms trafficking. Where is that currently?
So I am currently undergoing a tremendous amount of lawfare. The prosecutor who's coming after me, she was a prosecutor who went after Jeremy Brown, who is a Green Beret as well, and he was caught up in the J6. And so their whole plan is they don't want this to go to trial. The evidence is too great. Furthermore, the classified information, they're trying their best to just stop the classified information from coming forward, which will further implicate these power players in DC, like Mike Pompeo, like Bill Barr, like Elliot Abrams, Gina Haspel, all of these powerful individuals who were antagonistic to the president. And so I'm trying to get this classified information. Meanwhile, they're trying to violate me back to jail. They're trying to say that I'm a flight risk or a danger to the society or whatever. But that's their playbook. I've been fighting this for over a year now, and I want to see this through. I want to go to trial because
Where is the trial being held? I need to get to this. Where is the trial being held? What are the charges specifically, briefly?
This is Middle District of Florida, and this is ITAR violation, arms trafficking.
In Florida. The trial date is set for when?
It's February, but we'll see. We're trying to get as much classified information as we can.
Yeah. That's going to be an uphill challenge, obviously, Jordan. It's quite a story. So here, with about 30 seconds to go, what do you think the current plan is for Venezuela with this administration and Donald Trump more in the loop than maybe he was at all before?
Yeah, I think. Listen, they can. The enemy is the president can spend it any way they want to. Ultimately, white space denial in Colombia and in South America in general, in adherence with the Monroe Doctrine, I think is paramount. At the end of the day, we have a lot of trouble on the horizon. We have wars on the horizon, and we need to protect our hemisphere. And we need to deny white space to Russia, China.
Jordan Goodrow, former U.S. Army Special Forces, Green Beret, and mercenary, says people like Bill Barr, Gina Haspel, Elliot Abrams, Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo all worked against the president to undermine an effort to remove Maduro. All about the money. Jordan, thank you for being here. We'll talk more in the future.
Thank you, Steve.
Take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, a lot going on here, and I want to catch up. That story was hard to follow, I realize. It was. And we'll have him back to try to sort that all out. All right. A couple of things that I want to share with you here this morning that have been news overnight. A car tried to ram through the security gates at the White House overnight. Neutralized, not killed, but neutralized would be a fair way to put it. A suspect arrested late last night after ramming a car into the barricade of the White House just before 11 p.m., that is. Driving his vehicle into the Secret Service vehicle gate located 17th and E Street. I've been there, obviously. The individual immediately arrested by the United States Secret Service Uniform Division officers. The vehicle assessed by Secret Service and the Metropolitan Police Department deemed safe, according to the statement. So that happened. And here's a story that I wanted to share with you that I saw and shared early this morning, but I want to bring it back because I don't think that most of you saw and heard this. I've been telling you for a while that with the rhetoric of the left, that people are starting to get attacked just because of a hat they might wear. I said people are going to get shot and killed walking down the street for wearing a red hat. Well, this is pretty close. A North Carolina man shot at after a Trump banner was torn from his mother's yard, all right? He was shot at by an angry motorist who tore down a Trump banner at his mother's front yard, and he says that obviously reflects growing hostilities. And it's not just some punk kid. Listen to this story. Mark Thomas owns a river rafting business in Nantahala Gorge. He was at home on September the 6th when the shooting occurred. Thomas telling Fox he checked his security cameras after seeing a man wearing an Antifa-style mask step out of a Jeep Cherokee to look at a Trump banner attached to a bus parked near his 87-year-old mother's home. The man, now identified as Benjamin Michael Campbell, 38 years of age, was speeding before he abruptly slammed on the brakes to jump out and rip the banner down. Being a Second Amendment believer, I reached over, grabbed my rifle, and took off out onto the porch. Thomas said he fired a pair of warning shots into the air, and Campbell jumped back in his car and took off, but only to return a few minutes later. Then he was shooting out of the sunroof. Several shots fired at the house. One of the bullets lodged in the refrigerator inside this house where this guy's 87-year-old mother lives, all right? And like I said, not just some punk. Campbell, 38 years old, is an accountant from Atlanta. An accountant. He fled before the police arrived, but he was arrested September 30th, extradited to North Carolina. He faces charges of felonious assault with a deadly weapon, intent to kill or inflict serious injury, I guess that's attempted murder, discharging a firearm within an enclosure to incite fear, and willful and wanton injury to personal property. This guy jumped out of his car, ripped down a banner, then came back and shot the place up because they had a Trump 2024 banner hanging on the side of the... It's one of those garage deals, you know, it's like it's just a roof, and the bus is parked under it. The bus, which is used for rafting, if you've ever been whitewater rafting in your life, you know, you got these big buses, and they got a trailer behind them with a big, you know, rafting tubes and so forth. That's what it was. This guy shoots the place up, shooting out of his sunroof. He's got in the video, you can see it, he's got his handgun outside of the sunroof shooting at this house. There's a guy standing on the porch with a rifle. He's lucky he didn't get ventilated. He's lucky he's going to spend a number of years in prison for this. People have lost their minds. And when I tell you that people are going to get killed for wearing red hats, guarantee it, take it to the bank. I'm not intimidated. I'm not going to back down. I don't actually own a red hat. I never thought they fit very well. Didn't like the way they fit. I have one of the black ones that says "Make America Great Again." It fit better. It's just my experience. I didn't like the way the hat fit. Never liked those high-rise hats. Just me, right? Anyhow, Thomas said he almost didn't call the police after the first round of shots, but changed his mind when Campbell returned and opened fire again. He added that his mom had several other Trump signs on the property. He said his head would have just exploded if he had seen all that. This is dangerous. The only thing that saved his life was the fact that he couldn't shoot that well. You would have had to hit me pretty good to get me to not do what I was ready to do, he said. Thomas, he said he had no intention of harming Campbell, citing the shooter's poor aim. Yeah, he's just shooting the place up. But one of those bullets lodged in the refrigerator inside the house. I mean, these people have lost their minds. And when I say that somebody's going to get killed, I guarantee you it's going to happen. One of these days soon on this program, I'm going to have to report the death of an American for exercising free speech beyond Charlie Kirk. Unbelievable, honestly. It really is unbelievable. In the meantime, I'd like you to stay healthy. How do we do that? With the best vitamins available. Victory Nutrition International. Ivy went and did some research. She wanted better vitamins. She found VNI. And Protovite is something she takes every day. If you're tired of taking vitamins that don't seem to work, Protovite, it's liquid. It's a formula designed to absorb quickly so your body actually uses it. And when I say multivitamin, I mean it. Over 100 nutrients, B vitamins, amino acids, zinc, plant extracts. You get daily support for energy, focus, immune health, all of it, only from Victory Nutrition International. The studies are there. They only make 6 products. They don't have 25 products or 100 products. They have 6. Nutrition that gets in. Start your morning with Protovite, like we do. Feel the difference. By the way, you get 20% off today. VNI.life/Gruber. You want the best vitamins available with studies that back them up? This is it, my friends. And by the way, there's a QR code right on your screen. For those of you with your smartphone, click right on that QR code. You'll go straight to the site, and you'll be on your way to feeling better and having a really productive day and going, man, Gruber was right again. Yeah, look, we only tell you about products we use ourselves. That's why you can trust us. All right? We'll take a break and be right back. All right, careful what you wish for. That's an old adage, isn't it? Careful what you wish for. But For the Democrats, here's a cautionary tale for you. The Republicans in North Carolina have taken the next step to redistricting. It will happen, and they don't need the governor's approval. It's made it through the Senate. It'll now make it through the state House, and that means redistricting is coming to North Carolina. It should add at least one seat in Congress, maybe two. This is all in response to what California has done, right? California and Newsom, Prop 50, trying to redistrict all of California so that Republicans are basically not represented. Think about this. Today in America, there are 150 million Americans in places like New England that have zero Republican representation. None. No members of Congress. Conversely, there are only about 65 million Americans that have no Democratic representation in Congress. Think about that. So they're going to balance the scales. Two things are happening. This is North Carolina, just to start. Indiana will follow suit. Ohio will follow suit. Missouri will follow suit, each adding one or two seats, right? And then you bring the Supreme Court decision on Louisiana's gerrymandering lawsuit over race as a foundation for congressional districts. That'll add 12. It's possible, and I think the Republicans would have won the midterms anyway. It's possible the Republicans could add 20-plus seats. If this all goes through, 20 Republican seats in Congress. So California, you can have your 5. You're balanced out by Texas. And then you add 20, that gives them a 25-seat lead or 28-seat lead in the Congress. Good luck with that, Democrats. You will be a regional party before it's all said and done. This part of the program brought to you by WellConnect, a hybrid geothermal system for anybody living in the cold part of the country. If you heat with propane or electricity or heating oil, man, we can save you a pile of money with the WellConnect hybrid geothermal system. Subsidies will run out at the end of the year. The government offering big subsidies on this technology now. You'll save more than half on your bills. And if you finance the system, your savings will outpace whatever payment you make. And it does not replace your furnace and air conditioning. It's an add-on to it. WellConnectGeo.com. WellConnectGeo.com. They're also looking for new HVAC companies to work with all over the country. Is that you? WellConnectGeo.com. 2 more big hours coming here on the Steve Gruber Show. I'll see you there. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
All right, fighting for you from the Foxhole of Freedom every single day. Another big hour here on the program. I'm glad you're stopping in here at the Steve Gruber Show. Who would you want in your foxhole? Who would it be? Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, it's down to the wire for the next mayor in New York City, and the pressure is ramping up for the Republican, Curtis Sliwa, who has zero chance of winning, to drop out and make it so Ma'am Danny can't win. Do the right thing, Curtis. Number two, a pair of solidly blue states, New Jersey and Virginia, flirting with electing Republican governors, and Barack Obama, among others, panicking. He's even going to be on the campaign trail. And number three, how about a mixed bag of nuts? Yeah, a mixed bag of nuts, yeah. Ask me why would anyone want to be a part of any of this I'm going to share with you. I don't get it. We'll start with Joe Scarborough over on MSLSD. He's actually warning that the government will get weaponized by Republicans against Democrats. Terrible thing, he says. Guess he forgot. The Democrats attacked Republicans openly, using the intel community and every tool they had in their tool shed, starting all the way back in 2009. Remember who was president then? Yeah, Barack Obama. He used everything. Blocked nonprofits, spied on people. Remember, he spied on Cheryl Atkinson at CBS News, James Rosen, then with Fox News. He spied on reporters, got into their emails, into their computers. Good Lord, listen to this.
Again, because you talk about it in a piece. What I've been warning about, what I've been warning Republicans about. You know, because they love to say, oh, we're owning the libs. No, you're taking a hammer to the 2027 and 2029 version of yourself, a ball-peen hammer, and you're hammering yourself in the forehead. Like, the things they are doing now will be used against them by a progressive president or an independent megalomaniac who is a billionaire who becomes president of the United States. They are setting precedents for an all-powerful president, which they're fine right now because it's their guy doing it. But as you write in Axios, they're setting precedents that rip to shreds the constitutional norms that they've gone around yelling about for 50 years, whether it's, you know, Article 1 powers like we did back when we were in power there to say, hey, we've got the right to balance the budget, or whether it's you know, you pick whatever they were once champions of that they've abandoned. They're hurting themselves. This will come back to haunt them.
Let's take it above.
So, Joe Scarborough warning Republicans, don't do this. Democrats will weaponize against you. Please. Please. This is why what's happening in North Carolina is so important. The North Carolina Senate approving that new congressional seats and new congressional map. Very exciting. North Carolina, thank you for doing your job. Soon you're going to see the same thing happen, I believe, in Indiana. They'll be next. Missouri and Ohio still pending, but I think you'll see it happen there as well. New congressional seats coming your way from several states to balance the scales. To balance the scales. Illinois is way out of whack. There's not a single Republican seat in all of New England. Not one. Not one. Right? So this is important. By the way, with the government shutdown ongoing, what are we, day 20? I've lost track. I don't know. Here's the president of the Flight Attendants Union demanding Republicans fund illegal alien health care. This is a flight attendant. She's in charge of the union, demanding Republicans pay for illegal alien health care, or else they're going to call a general strike like any good communist. Listen.
And let me be clear. The Flight Attendant Union just in 2019 is looking very carefully about when this system is going to break, because it will break, and planes will stop, and people will not be able to get anywhere. Seniors will not be able to get their medicines. Veterans will not be able to get their medicines. We will not have a functioning economy at all very soon if there is not a vote called by Senator John Thune to solve two crises, health care and our federal workers coming back to work with a paycheck. That's what we need. Two crises, one vote, open the government today. And let me tell you something, if not, there is going to be a general strike, because before the system breaks, we are going to make sure that we take control as the people and the working people in this country. Thank you.
Oh, please. Working people are behind this president. That's how he got elected in large part. People living out here where we live. That's why the Teamsters Union, the UAW, and others find the rank and file union members don't vote for Democrats anymore. No, they vote for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. The Republicans have become the party of working people, clearly. It's true. Sorry, lady. Brandon Johnson, meanwhile, here, like I said, a mixed bag of nuts. Brandon Johnson, the mayor of the failing city of Chicago, calling for a general strike, too. He says they will fleece all successful Americans. They're going to fleece anybody who's been successful, worked hard, built something in this country. They're going to fleece them, take their money, punish them for being successful. It's not how America works, except in Mayor Johnson's pea brain. Listen.
If my ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history of this country, taking it to the ultra-rich and big corporations, we can do the same today. I'm calling on black people, white people, brown people, Asian people, immigrants, gay people from around this country to stand up against terrorism and to send a clear message to the ultra-rich and big corporations. We are going to make them pay their fair share in taxes to fund our schools, to fund jobs, to fund health.
Ah, yes, class warfare. Class warfare at its finest. There's Brandon Johnson, the worst mayor in the history of Chicago. I thought Lori Lightfoot was bad, and then this clown came along. There have been 2,000 people shot, roughly, so far this year in Chicago. 2,000 people shot. Oh, we don't want the National Guard. We don't want this president to invade Chicago, really? Because it's going so swimmingly well? Obviously. We can see why you'd want to hang on to that lovely record of 2,000 people shot. What do they have, 400 murders so far? Something. Some ridiculous amount of slaughter on their streets. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at PuroClean and their program PuroVet. PuroClean is a reclamation company. They'll help you clean up after a flood or a fire, mold reclamation, all of that. And they've got a special program for veterans called the PuroVet program, where veterans can get to the front of the line and get a franchise. 500 franchises nationwide now, many of them owned by veterans. You've probably seen them here on the program from time to time because I think it's a great program. Thank you for serving this country. We're going to help you out by putting you to the front of the line and setting you up in business. That's what they do. If you're a vet, or if you know a vet, go to purovet.com. Purovet.com. It's right there on your screen, or call 855-PuroVet. You can find out more. It's a great program for veterans, and we support it. When we come back, could AI drive the 2026 midterms? Could AI play a big role in that? Probably. We'll talk about it straight ahead right here on The Steve Gruber Show. The world has changed more in the last 10, really, than it has probably in 10,000 in many ways when it comes to the way we communicate. Communication, transportation, medication, all these things have advanced rapidly, but nothing more than AI. I mean, look at it, what it does. I've got questions every day. I go to Grok, that's my go-to, to just ask a quick question when I'm here on the program. It works well. Hey, what about this? Is this true? I'll see something pop up on social media. Is this true? Nope. No supporting evidence. Or yes, it is true. It's a great way to quick fact check what we're doing here in real time, and I love it. My next guest, Mark Beckman, wrote Some Future Day how AI is going to change everything. Mark, welcome back to the program.
Steve, it's great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Always good to have you. Look, and it continues to change. I mean, there's places that AI can really help, and one of those places is in the medical field. If you put the information, here are the symptoms, here's the blood pressure, the temperature, the white blood count, whatever it might be, right? Boom, you put it in, and the machine will go through things rapidly and say, maybe you should look at this, this, and this, right? So for medicine, AI can make things great. For information, like I just talked about, getting a quick fact check, man, it happens fast. But what about elections? You say that AI could play a major role in the midterm elections in 2026. How do you see that unfolding?
I think that AI can play a major role in midterms. First of all, because traditionally, voter turnout is smaller, right? It tends to be smaller. So as a result, AI can be more impactful. But there are three tiers that I see AI impacting these midterms. The first, it's already happening, data analytics. The second, it's already happening, content creation. The third, we're going to see it ramp up in a big way, Steve. It's using AI tools to cater to specific audiences. So think in terms of chatbots, robocalls, synthetic voices in different languages.
Yeah.
It's a real interesting, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, you know, it's been a few months, maybe a year now. Ivy sends me a commercial. She says, I want you to listen to this commercial. It was for one of our clients, right? And it was a radio read. And I listened to the commercial, and I go, well, that's me, but I never read that spot. I'm like, that's crazy, because she had just fed my voice and sampled it into a machine, gave it a script, and here I am, I guess, AI me, delivering a spot that I'd never read. I thought that was a little bit chilling, but also it could be helpful. Now, when you talk about targeting voters with AI, and you can find out the trends of what we do on our phones and what websites we go to and what social media platforms we follow. Man, you could target right down to an individual voter to put messages into their phone on their computer directly. Hey, Bob, don't forget to go vote because it's an important election. Here's who you need to vote for, because you know what Bob thinks about, what Bob cares about, what Bob reads about, and you can directly hit Bob with a message about vote now for this person, couldn't you?
So personalized targeting is going to impact the midterms for sure, and you'll see that concept growing in a bigger way. But it could also have a chilling effect on voters in the future for the long term. Think about this idea, Steve. You're a voter and you're getting bombarded with content, and you're starting to realize that the people running in your area, your district, even on a national level eventually, are just hitting you with content that's been created synthetically with artificial intelligence. At some point, you might get fatigue and just start ignoring all of the content. And that's when the issues can really fall at the wayside. And I think there's a dangerous, slippery slope there. If voters start to care less about the issues because they feel the content that's coming their way, even if it's personalized, is always fake, and they stop listening, who do they end up voting for?
Maybe they don't vote at all. AI exhaustion is what you're suggesting here. AI exhaustion. You're just spent. You don't want to see another message. I mean, how many people are worn out in the old days just from seeing one television commercial after another after stop? You know, just I don't want to see anymore. If this starts happening in your phone, I think you're onto something there, Mark. People just say, I'm done. I'm done listening. I'm done looking. I don't care. I'm staying home. That could happen, couldn't it?
I think so, Steve. And it's an interesting time, as you know, like these 7 swing states are critical. These Congress people who went in, you know, in these purple regions, the Republicans need these wins big time. President Trump really needs to get the victories now. The Hispanic vote really helped in the last Trump election, the presidential election, in a major way in those 7 states. In fact, my my records show that 4 out of the 7 swing states were won from the Hispanic vote. So imagine now if these Congress people could ramp up AI and really target that Hispanic vote at a time where it's showing, the data is showing that the Hispanic vote has dropped. President Trump had record-breaking numbers for the Hispanic vote in those swing states, and now they're dropping precipitously.
Well, he had record-breaking, well, I don't know if that's true or not. I know that he also had record-breaking votes for the black voters as well, and working-class people in unions. We'll see where we end up. We're still a ways away. But I also think there's a possibility, Mark, it won't matter because of the redistricting. States like North Carolina and Indiana going to add Republican seats. Texas, of course, doing it. It'll offset anything California does. And the Supreme Court case involving Louisiana and race-based congressional districts could change it all because that'll be a plus 12 for the Republicans, give or take. I mean, it might not matter. They might end up winning 20 seats ahead of the Democrats anyway because of that. But I think AI plays a critical role in our information going forward. And the thing is, like I just said here, I'll go say, is this true? I'll just copy and paste some headline on social media. Is this true? Maybe voters will do the same thing. Is this true? What's really true? Because you see people get smeared. They get dragged through the mud. You see it every day, Mark. I'll give you the last word. How big of an impact AI 2026?
It's going to be a major impact. It's going to continue to grow. And the message for your audience is don't just trust everything you're seeing. Verify everything. Seeing is not believing. Hearing is not believing. Do the work. Trust nothing. Verify everything.
That's a great bit of advice, Mark. Trust nothing. That's how I am anymore with this stuff. You know, deep fakes and videos and my own voice being recreated by my wife. That's kind of spooky in its own special way. Mark, greatly appreciate seeing you. Thank you.
All right, Steve. Have a great day.
And by the way, the book is Some Future Day, How AI is Going to Change Everything. It's if it hasn't already, how AI is going to change everything, including the election of 2026. Hopefully we have voter ID and real ballots. That would be a nice change. We'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so Curtis Sliwa is the Republican running for mayor in New York City. He should drop out. He's polling at like 15%, right? 18%, not much. He has no chance of winning at all, 0. Mamdani is polling about 15 points ahead of the former governor of New York, Cuomo. If Sliwa would get out of the race, Cuomo might be able to win. And I'm no fan of Cuomo, but look, it's a lot better than allowing Mamdani to win, a Ugandan socialist, Islamist, American hater. Oh, he hates America. He wants to get rid of the police. He wants to fund illegals. He wants to give the government control of grocery stores, and the list goes on. Plus, he wants to tax the hell out of everybody there. He has made it clear he wants to put a 2% tax on anybody making $1 million. Well, it's only $20,000. It's a rounding error. What an idiot. Most small businesses, many of them are S corporations where it's a pass-through. And $20,000 could be the difference between making it and not making it on any given day for a small business. Of course, he doesn't know that. He's never owned anything. And then a 4.5% increase on other businesses. So a 2% tax on anybody making $1 million, which could be a pass-through business, and then 4.5% tax increase on all other business. There won't be anybody left in New York. There won't be anybody left if Ma'am Danny wins. So that's why Sliwa has to get out of the race. He has to. We'll see if his ego is bigger than his common sense. We'll see which one wins out at the end of the day. He has no chance of winning. He doesn't have to well, maybe he can strike a deal. Look, put me in your administration somewhere. Strike a deal. This is what minority parties do all over Europe every day. Strike a deal so we can have power. Then encourage all of your voters to vote for Cuomo, even though they don't like him. You can't make America great again if you lose New York City and the other great cities of this nation, San Francisco, Chicago, the rest. You can't. We have to fight for every city in this country, too. Every single one of them. 2,000 people shot in Chicago so far this year. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so a lot going on in South America, as you know. Venezuela in the crosshairs as we continue to vaporize drug running boats. And let me be clear about this. They're not fishing boats. Fishing boats don't have 4x4, 400-horse engines across the back, 1,600 horsepower doing almost 100 miles an hour across the open ocean. They don't troll that fast, all right? Just so you know, they don't pull nets that fast. Just so we're clear, these are not fishing boats. And I do trust the United States military to get it right. When they identify a criminal activity on a criminal boat, I expect them to get it right, and I have faith that they do. But there's a lot more to this story than just that. Josh Phillips is an award-winning journalist and senior investigative reporter at the Epoch Times. He joins me now. Josh, nice to see you again.
Hey, good to see you, Steve.
You also host Crossroads, a great program on Epic. If you should check it out. Don't leave this program to do it, but go watch Josh because he does a great job. All right, Josh. When it comes to our presence in South America, you say one of the things that we're not talking about and should be and being aware of is that China gets a lot of oil from Venezuela. China gets a lot of oil from a lot of places it probably shouldn't. But if we were to cut off the Venezuelan oil tap to the Chinese, what would it mean to them?
Well, so the Chinese Communist Party has been investing in Venezuela for so long that they basically control it as a puppet state.
Yeah.
Venezuela for China is a lot of natural resources because through their debt traps, they've gained control over it. What's also not known much is that Russia also has a lot of influence in Venezuela. And I'd actually say a lot of this goes back to 2018 and the elections where Maduro, again, was accused of rigging the elections. And what happened? Trump accused him of it. Later on, even Biden accused Maduro of rigging the elections. Both Trump and Biden recognized the opposition leader, Juan Guaido, who's currently in exile, as the official leader. And what happened, leading up to where we're at now, the big picture actually is Guyana, just north of Venezuela, little country, can't really defend itself. And Guyana has one of the largest oil reserves in the entire world. They found it
just recently discovered, in fact. Just discovered over the last few years. They've got billions of recoverable barrels of oil. And Venezuela says, well, Guyana, we actually own most of you. That's the claim that's being made, isn't it?
Exactly what they said. So Venezuela claims ownership over it. And of course, the United States, we have ExxonMobil there. We said we're not going to threaten ExxonMobil. And Venezuela now saying, well, we're going to do it anyway. They said, well, watch what's going to happen. And so, of course, I think this is turning into a pretty broader conflict. But back to 2018, one thing that a lot of people forget about, and, Steve, I know you talked a lot about what's going on there. One thing that's being forgotten about, I think in most of, public statements, when there was this, conflict around the elections there and the riots on the streets, the opposition leader was recognized as the official leader. America was going to intervene. We were actually going to intervene. And then China and Russia sent security forces there. Russia actually told the United States, America, if you intervene, there will be bloodshed. We were actually threatened with war if we intervened. And actually, until now, we backed off.
Well, not now. Now we're vaporizing these drug boats. So you've got drugs, you've got oil, so you've got the cartels, and you've got China, and you've got Russia. You've got Guyana in the crosshairs, a country that most people wouldn't even know about except for Jim Jones back, 1978, whatever it was. But Guyana has, you can look at real estate prices there. They've exploded since ExxonMobil made this major discovery, a small country that's about to get very wealthy if they don't get invaded. I don't think they get invaded, Josh. I think that would be foolish because Donald Trump has made it clear that the Western Hemisphere is being reestablished as the American sphere of influence without question. What do you make of that?
I think you're spot on. And, what's interesting now is that Maduro is being called the leader of the cartel of the Suns. As you mentioned, we're blowing up the drug boats. They're saying, oh, they're poor fishermen. Yeah, they're fishing for fentanyl, maybe. I don't know what else they're fishing for out there.
White whales. I think that's what they call them. I think they call them white whales or something like that when these bales of cocaine come bobbing up onto the beach. They got some name from the people that live in those parts of the world.
They're harpooning it, so that's how they get the drugs.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, let me ask you about this. I had this guy on earlier today on the program today, Jordan Goudreau, former U.S. Army Special Forces Green Beret and mercenary. He is accusing Mike Pompeo and a host of others of undermining President Trump in an effort to remove Maduro back during Trump's first administration. I don't know what to make of this guy. I don't know what to make of this story. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but do we have operations, I'm sure we must, underway to show Maduro the exit? That's what the claim was today, and that this guy was undermined by Pompeo and others. that were not loyal to Donald Trump or the United States. What are your thoughts?
Well, Maduro was given a lot of chances, and I think what's important to note also is that Biden had the same policy. This was not just a Trump policy. This was a
Right.
bipartisan policy. The Biden administration actually labeled Maduro the leader of the cartel of the Suns. They said you're the unofficial leader. The State Department under Biden was very aggressive on it. It seems now that the diplomatic channels are, quickly fading if they want to have a way out. But I'll also note one important thing too is that when Trump was saying he was going to launch these operations against the drug cartels, he also told different countries, "Look, we're going to stop it, and if you stand in our way, we are going to expose your connections to the cartels." You see now Maduro has, of course, been exposed with his connection to the cartels. Now the head of Colombia is being exposed with his connections to the cartels because he was trying to lock this as well. The unfortunate part for a lot of these countries is that many of the governments are deeply tied in with the cartels.
Right. So
And
here's
we
where I get
sort of remove
confused.
that.
And maybe I shouldn't be confused. Maybe this should just be obvious to me, Josh. But maybe I'm just a little obtuse some days. Here you've got what are clearly drug-running boats coming out, getting vaporized by the president or the military by his direction. And you've got those on the left saying, oh, these poor fishermen, these poor innocent people are being attacked. You've got the left defending the drug runners when we have 100,000 Americans die from overdoses of all these illegal poisons coming into our country every year. Do the Democrats have any principle at all in any of this?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with these boats. It's like people think, okay, the guy's running drugs. Who cares? It's just like you say, oh, it's just a homeless guy on the subway, and he had
Yeah,
a
who cares?
manic episode.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's just people shining lights in the eyes of ICE agents. Who cares?
It matters. We all care.
Throwing rocks. It's the pattern we see, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, it is the pattern we see. Josh, I appreciate all the hard work you do every day for the Epic Times. Great operation there, folks. If you don't follow the Epic Times, you certainly should. They're one of the few truth tellers out there. In a wilderness of fraud, the Epic Times is one of those good places you can get a lot of good information. And Josh is one of those great reporters. Josh, thank you for being here.
Steve, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. All right, so there you have it. That's why Venezuela could be ground zero. If you cut off the oil supply to China or to Russia or disrupt it in some fashion, man, that creates problems. Now, Russia has its own oil. Maybe it'd be happy because they'd be able to raise the price to China. But for Venezuela, they are in the crosshairs. Something that Donald Trump has wanted since his first term is to eliminate Maduro or force him out the door. We'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it. Now, coming up after the break, we talked about it earlier, the high price of American beef. My next guest says it's not high enough. And no, we shouldn't be buying beef from Argentina. We should be buying more from American producers and paying a higher price yet. That story coming. Do you agree with that? We're going to talk about it straight ahead here on the Steve Gruber Show. You want to hear it. Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you here for the conversation. When you go to the grocery store, everything seems more expensive. One of the things that you might notice is the price of beef is up. Well, my next guest, she has what she admits is an unpopular opinion. She says beef is not expensive enough. Molly Engelhardt is a regenerative farmer, rancher at Sovereignty Ranch in Texas, committed to food sovereignty, soil regeneration, and educating on homesteading and self-sufficiency. She's also the author of Debunked by Nature. Molly, nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. Now, you say that beef isn't expensive enough. Not a popular position, but explain why you say that.
Well, right now, 85% of farmers have an off-farm job, which means that they are giving their labor for free to grow our food. And so in a system where 85% of people that are growing our food have to go to off the farm to the office to somewhere else to make a living, it means that the farming system is not working. And commodities are largely chosen the price, not based on how much it costs for us to get a cow to market or get corn to market. But there's all these other factors of what overseas beef is costing, what overseas corn is costing. And so I think that the price of beef must reflect what it takes from a calf to hit the ground to get to slaughter at 2.5 years.
Sure.
And that to cover it.
Yeah. You point out that people complain about $6 for ground beef, and you said, go ahead, raise it yourself and see how much it costs. It's a fair point you make.
I did. I don't think anybody can raise it for $6 a pound. And I think that we have lost the sacredness of farming in our culture. Like, farmers are collapsing. 170,000 farms have been lost in the last 8 years. We are losing 60 farms a day right now in the United States of America. So that's not sustainable. And so food is largely subsidized by free labor from the farm and the farming family. That is not a system that's going to be able to last forever. And some people say the family farm is antiquated. We no longer need it. We've gotten very efficient. But collapsing the family farm will also collapse large swaths of rural America. And are we willing, is that a price we're willing to pay for efficiency? I'm not sure. It's not a price that I want to pay because it's my family's income.
And look, I've grown up across farms my entire life. I've been around in my entire existence, farms and ranches. And the fact of the matter is that it's hard to compete because when you look at the cost of labor in other countries, Mexico, Central America, South America, you can't compete with the cost of labor that's very, very cheap. That's one of the things. One of the things about beef, and I'm curious what your take on this is, Molly, there are fewer cows, I've been reading this for the last few weeks, fewer cows in America than there have been since 1951. Now, it's a different kind of beef cow because the cows are larger and produce more beef, but still, the herd is smaller than it's been in decades. Why is that?
First, to say about the labor, Brazil, where many of our beef cattle are coming from, is only $3 a day labor. So for us to compete with $3 a day labor and massive amounts of rainforest that they're clearing to create more cattle land, that is very impossible for us to compete with. And as far as the herd size, it's very concerning. And during COVID and the drought that was happening during COVID, many people were selling their cows. And I said, we're not going to feel the pain of this for a few years because there's going to be all these cows that are getting culled because people can't afford to keep them. And so the beef prices would go down during COVID because of those cull cows that people were like, oh, I can't afford because of COVID and because of the droughts. But now we're realizing that we don't have enough mama cows. And if I want to add mama cows to my herd, from my herd, I could have a baby cow hit the ground tomorrow. It's almost 4 years until I'm going to be able to take any of her babies to market, maybe almost 5 years, depending exactly what age she gets big enough to be bred. But cows are pregnant for 9 months, and it's 2.5 years until you can bring it to market at a reasonable size. So when you think about that, you got 3 years, plus into a cow, of course, it's going to take time to grow the herds back up. And it's happening again, and it's going to get worse because prices are so high right now. Many farmers that need a retirement, need a parachute out, are looking at their 90 cow calf herd, and they're going, 90 cows at $5,000 a piece. I get almost a $500,000. I got to get out right now. And so what's going to happen is more and more cows are going to get processed rather than staying as mama cows to produce more calves, and it's going to exacerbate the problem. And
Well,
so
and then the other part of the problem is factory farming, which it's got a whole host of problems: water contamination, soil contamination, everything that goes with factory farms. Nobody wants factory farms in their neighborhood, but then again, they don't want to pay $6 for ground beef. So how do we solve this problem? This is like it's a Chinese puzzle.
I mean, I have two ideas. One is we do have to open up the rules around BLM land and grazing. And if people are doing holistic land
Just so people are
grazing,
clear, it's the Bureau of Land Management, so there's no confusion. Go ahead, BLM land.
yes, the Bureau of Land Management. So we need to open up how many cows we can have per an acre on the Bureau of Land Management land. If you're doing holistic planned grazing, you're moving your cows every day and you're having a positive impact versus a negative impact. We think we should bring the herd numbers up that is legal. The other thing is wealthy landowners, I think, should get a tax benefit for letting farmers graze on their land. Like right
Agreed.
now, it's the same as if you're doing hunting on your land. It's the same tax benefit in Texas, let's say. But I think there should actually be a higher benefit if you're letting a young farmer who doesn't own land be able to graze on your land. There should be some tax benefit for that wealthy person taking the liability of having those cows on their land. And so we need to open up more grazing land. And even there's things like chicken where it's all factory farming. Even cows that are going into the consolidated feedlot system are likely spending the first 9 months of their life with their moms on pasture. So we ultimately need more pasture land opened up.
We certainly do. And this is just the beginning of the conversation because this is a conversation that's ongoing. I'm a chicken rancher here where I am, but it's small, obviously. We have a few chickens here, which I think is a good thing for the kids and everybody else. Molly, I want to have you back because the problems you're outlining are incredibly important for America's future. I want to continue this conversation the next time you're here. Great conversation, great start. Nice meeting you. And we've got a lot more to talk about in the future.
Thank you so much for having me on, and I'd love to come on anytime.
I really appreciate it. Look, farming is hard work and really hard to make a living. We need to help support American farmers, period. This is The Steve Gruber Show. All right, time to check in on sports with Brock Palmbush. Here he is.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The NBA's regular season began last night with a pair of games. The world champion Oklahoma City Thunder received their championship rings from last season and also raised the championship banner before outlasting the Houston Rockets 125-124 in double overtime. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the league's MVP, led the Thunder with 35 points. And the Golden State Warriors won at the Los Angeles Lakers 119-109. Jimmy Butler led the Warriors with 31 points. In the National Hockey League last night, a busy night. There were 10 games. Winners included Florida, Columbus, Anaheim, and Utah. In college football, there were a pair of games. Kennesaw State ripped Florida International on the road 45-26, and Western Kentucky won at Louisiana Tech in overtime in a thriller 28-27. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, thank you for that, Brock. A little more news for you, a headline that you probably missed because I haven't shared it with you yet. A U.S. Marshal and an illegal alien shot in Los Angeles during an immigration operation. Federal agents opened fire after the suspect rammed vehicles in an escape attempt. I mean, these nice people that are the backbone of America. So kind. Both shot Tuesday, they were, during an immigration enforcement operation. Federal agents surrounded and boxed in a vehicle. The driver rammed federal vehicles in an attempt to escape. Federal agents opened fire. One U.S. Marshal was struck in his hand by what initially appeared to be a bullet ricochet. The illegal was struck in the elbow, both taken to a hospital expected to survive. Tuesday's shooting came amid heavy criticism from L.A. elected officials over the Trump administration's enforcement of immigration laws. Karen Bass, the mayor, called for a congressional investigation. Yeah, let's have one of those. Let's investigate why there are 25 million illegal aliens in this country, brought in almost exclusively during the Joe Biden years. Millions of people flowed into this country. Millions. I'm all for a congressional investigation. Let's get it done. All right? Let's get it done. Coming up in the next hour, Ron Rademacher will be here. Jim Runestad will be here. And Riley Linting. A whole bunch of folks coming up. But Ron Rademacher will give us a big cleansing breath after this. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
It is, and we're kicking off another brand new hour here of the program. Glad you're on for the conversation. We've got a lot to talk about this hour, as always. Coming up in a few minutes, we will have a breather with Ron Rademacher. But before we get there, here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, words have consequences for foreign nationals, but Dana Nessel, the AG in Michigan, doesn't think so. Number two, y'all want an update on Dearborn? We'll have one today as the war over the loudspeakers and the call to prayer gets more heated. And number three, the call for violence against white Americans growing again from a college professor, a black college professor at Howard University. She says it's time to emulate vigilante mass murder. Yeah, that's what she says we need now. Howard University professor. Her name's Stacy Patton. She's a professor of journalism at the private school in Washington, D.C. In a recent blog post titled, John Brown Didn't Ask Enslaved People How to Be a Good White Ally, she discouraged white liberals from asking how to be a better ally to minorities, encouraged them instead to start killing people. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Brown, by the way, quick history lesson. A militant slave abolitionist during the pre-Civil War Bleeding Kansas period. In 1856, he orchestrated the Potawatomi Massacre. He, along with fellow abolitionists, dragged 5 Kansas settlers, at least 3 of whom were pro-slavery, out of their homes and executed them. In October 1859, Brown led a 21-man raid on a federal armory in Harper's Ferry, probably heard of this, in Virginia. His goal was to start a slave uprising, but none joined the fight. A local militia confronted Brown and his men and fought back. 4 townspeople, including a freed slave, Hayward Shepherd, murdered in the crossfire. All right, now here's where I want you to pay attention to what this professor is saying. So when white allies ask, what can I do? Here's the answer. Be like John Brown. Ask yourself, what am I willing to burn so somebody else can breathe? Brown didn't need a syllabus, a think piece, or a guidebook on allyship. He didn't need affirmation from black folks. He saw the horror for what it was and decided that ending this racist effery, I'll just leave that out for you, mattered more than being understood. Allyship is exhausting as hell, she said. Allyship is exhausting as hell. Even the well-intentioned versions drag you back into the same cycle of having to translate pain into curriculum. It's the paradox of white goodness. They want to be seen trying, but the trying itself becomes another demand on the people that are already harmed, she wrote. We are not the architects. We are the collateral damage. You don't ask the people choking on the smoke to explain how to put out the fire, she said. You go get the damn hose. You stop pretending you don't see the flames. That's the real answer. You already know what to do. Be honest. Be honest. You just don't want to lose the warmth that fire gives you. She conceded that white allies don't have to die like Brown. If you don't want to die like John Brown, fine, but understand that somebody always does. Yeah. There you go. Time to start killing people. Over what? So, Howard University put out a statement. Howard University condemns all forms of violence, particularly actions that may result in the loss of life. The university remains steadfast in its commitment to upholding and protecting the First Amendment rights of free expression. However, the views and opinions expressed by individual faculty, staff, or students are solely their own and should not be construed as reflecting the official stance of Howard University. Patton, of course, declined to comment, calling for the murder of white people, I guess. Don't be a white ally, kill them. And yet it's the MAGA people you're supposed to fear, they say. You heard me tell the story earlier about the guy that shot up a home and a rafting business in North Carolina because there was a Trump flag outside that he tore down. Then he shot the place up. An 87-year-old woman lived there. Her son was there who runs the rafting business. And it wasn't just some hooligan. It was a 38-year-old accountant from Atlanta. Shot the place up. He's now being charged with a variety of felonies. He'll spend the next several years in prison, as he should, because he couldn't handle seeing a Trump sign on somebody else's property. He went onto private property, ripped down the Trump sign, and then shot the place up, one of those bullets lodging in the refrigerator. One of these mornings, I'm going to sit here and report to you about the murder of Trump supporters because they were Trump supporters, and for no other reason. Because they wore a red hat or had a sign in their yard, they will be murdered, and for no other reason except that they had a difference of opinion with somebody who hates Donald Trump. Don't sit there and tell me it's a both sides issue. It's not. It is not a both sides issue. It is part and parcel to the leftist hate machine, churning out vile rhetoric like this professor at Howard University. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about goading people into being like John Brown, murdering people to get what they want because they have a difference of opinion on this or that. Meanwhile, here's your update on Dearborn. Speaking of differences of opinions, a rising chorus of complaints in Dearborn. This is from MichiganNewsSource.com, my news company. You should be there every day. MichiganNewsSource.com. You should be there every day looking at what's happening. Tremendous amount of coverage of Dearborn on that platform. Residents in East Dearborn say outdoor broadcasts of the Islamic call for prayer have grown too loud, way too loud, prompting petitions, council speeches, and a review by city officials. Police Chief Isa Shaheen says officers have taken dozens of readings and found mosques largely within legal limits. The overwhelming majority of readings are in compliance and are no louder than the ambient noise of the trucks driving by. I'm going to go find out. In addition, Council President Michael Serini said the city continues to work with mosque leaders and residents to find a solution. No faith should be imposing on someone else's property and livelihood, Serini told the Detroit Free Press, adding that officials have asked mosques to keep the volumes below 60 decibels, which is the city's residential limit. Nonetheless, a petition signed by at least 46 residents urged the city to address what they called the disruption of their quality of life and tranquility. The Islamic Institute of Knowledge on Schaefer Road, one of several mosques in East Dearborn, says it's working to ease tensions over the outdoor call to prayer. Chair Akram Bazi said that the mosque's loudspeaker operates within the city's legal noise limits, but agreed to turn it down about 5% to accommodate nearby residents. Even some Muslim leaders have called for restraint. Imam Mohammad Ali Alahi of the Islamic House of Wisdom in Dearborn urged other mosques to consider their neighbors' concerns, saying amplified calls to prayer that disturb residents are discouraged in Islam. In such cases, broadcasting the adhan is not considered a virtuous act. Rather, it may be deemed as sinful. Respect for neighbors and the broader community is a core principle of our faith, they say. Find out more at MichiganNewsSource.com. We'll take a break with Ron Rademacher straight ahead. All right, it's time to take a deep cleansing breath and enjoy fall. We finally ended the drought around here. All we've gotten is rain lately, lots of it. All that happens in October in Michigan. You have all the great colors, and then a big storm comes along, and man, you lose a lot of the color. But somebody who doesn't lose their color is Ron Rademacher, colorful fella. He travels all over the place, spreading joy and wisdom. Hello, Ron.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Are you spreading joy and wisdom today?
I am spreading it. I'm spreading it wherever I go, brother.
Like a manure spreader.
Spreading it deep. Spreading it plenty deep, man.
Yeah. What's on your mind, boss?
Well, I don't know if I sent you the sheet a little while back. I don't know. Did the Home Depot shout out get on there?
Yeah, it's right there at the top.
Yeah. They're offering free classes for the skilled trades that came across the feed of mine a couple of days ago. I haven't had a chance to look into it, but electricians, carpenters, plumbers, they're offering free classes, man.
Well, we need that.
They didn't have any free classes for politicians, but we're looking into that.
Yeah. Politicians don't work for free. They get their pockets lined.
That usually starts out behind the barn, mucking out the stalls. You're going to spread it. So
you got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we're going to talk about Halloween a little bit. The colors are, I'll switch over real quick. The colors are great. And certain parts of the state, we talked about this last week, have had more rain. I'll tell you, if you're driving up 31 from Grand Rapids up toward Ludington, up toward Manistee, that whole part of the West Coast, the colors are spectacular right now. As long as it's raining now, and we had hail yesterday, but it didn't knock off any of the leaves, so it's still good.
You got a hailstorm. All right.
Yeah, had a light hailstorm out toward Hesperia.
All
and
right.
So they're going to lose some. So you got a lot of Halloween events going on this weekend, even though it's not till next weekend.
Right.
And a lot of them are for kids. So we just mentioned it real quick. They talking about getting real over down in Heartland. There's a kids event at Spicer Orchards where the kids go out and pick apples off the trees by hand. And then they get to take home some goodies. So that's a good experience. A lot of kids don't know that the apples, that's where they come from. They think they come from the store. So that's a cool one. And another cool one is in Byron Center at Parkside Farm. You can go out and play with the pygmy goats, Steve. Nothing says Halloween, like fainting pygmy goats. And, and they also have some hay rides and popcorn.
Why do I see you walk up to a goat and go, boo? Bam.
Over they go. And honeybee demonstrations. They have that going on there, too.
Yeah.
Here's one that's not so much for kids, but this is special because we get carried away. I don't want this to get by. But in Pontiac, Erebus Haunted Attraction is up this year. Now, I have to read this. This was founded back in 1981 and received national recognition and awards as being one of the top haunts in the nation, as well as earning the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's longest walk-through haunted attraction.
Man, Ron, you just solved a problem for me.
Okay.
I couldn't remember the name of the place, right? I did a television commercial for Erebus 20 years ago now, something like that. It still runs on it. My daughter comes and goes, "What's the name of that haunted house you did the TV commercial for?" I'm like, you just saved me.
I stumbled across this. It's still supposed to be one of the top ones in the nation, and good for not just kids focused, so it's good for adults too. I'm glad we were able to solve that problem for you, Steve.
But I'm going to go find it, and we're going to air that ridiculous commercial of me on this program tomorrow. I'm going to go find it.
I cannot wait to see it. That should be terrific.
I look 12.
And don't forget, if you're down in the Rochester area, Meadowbrook Hall is all decked out. That's that lumber baron mansion I told you about some time back with the 37 chimneys and 110 rooms. Fantastic. So they've got it done for Halloween, and as soon as that's over, they get going with Christmas. So that's down in Rochester.
Well, there you go. All right.
I want to talk about one other one. This is not Halloween, but I think this sounds like a lot of fun. You might want to run over there for this one, Steve.
All right.
Grand Rapids, they're having the Tattoo Festival.
Well, right, yeah, I'll get one if you do. No, I won't.
You see, Bob the Turtle's back here. He's got his mom tat. I don't know if you can see this, but there's Bob's mom tat.
I love that. I see it. It's well done. Mom tat.
And he wants me to take him down to Grand Rapids for another one. I don't know if we're going to do that or not. Talking about having a tattoo of a night crawler. I'm not sure that's appropriate, but that should be a good festival.
I love it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm scared. I'm going to find this commercial. It's all I care about now.
Okay.
Erebus.
It didn't have. I'll tell you about one more horror, and then we can do some other things. Well, you got Eastern Market's having their fall beer festival, and there's a rumor there will be pumpkin spice beer. I hope not, because that's the end of that's the sign of the apocalypse. And if you don't want to do anything
wait
for
a second.
Halloween,
What's the sign of the apocalypse?
Pumpkin spice beer.
Yeah, okay. People do that. Ivy's a big pumpkin spice everything. I'm like,
Yeah. And also my favorite hunting and fishing center over in Cadillac, Mitchell State Park, is having an introduction to bow fishing. So that's another good reason to get outside and have some fun. I don't have anything this week on pumpkin chunking, but I'm sure I'll come up with some for next week.
all right. Because I've never been to one of those. I want to chunk pumpkins. Chunk pumpkins. I'm going to find this silly commercial. It's the last thing I do.
I'm sure. I know that at the Scarecrow Fest in Frankenmuth, they usually have a pumpkin launcher. So I will check that out for you for next week. If you get over there toward Frankenmuth, they have great festivals over there, and they will have a pumpkin chunking launcher just for you.
You got it. Now I'm obsessed. At least I found the right name. I appreciate it, Ron. MichiganBackroads.com, MichiganBackroads.com. One more shout out to my friend Bob Barkham and the Great Empire Apples. Bob says he's threatening to deliver hot donuts and cider live on this program. Attaboy, Bob. We just got to connect on that.
That's a threat that scares us. Yeah, let's do that.
Don't threaten me with getting fat. Ron, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Good luck. I want to see that commercial.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Barkham Farms, Hazlet, Michigan. Bob's a good man, and it's a great place. Another tradition of fall. MichiganBackroads.com. Don't forget that if you want to emphasize what you're doing. I'll be right back. All right, I'm on YouTube and I'm digging because I'm going to find this commercial. Literally, it's about 20 years ago. Deb Hart and I did this commercial together. I was, a TV reporter at Erebus at the haunted house. It was kind of a fun commercial, but and I've seen it since because they use it from time to time, but I'm not seeing it at the moment. And I'm telling you, folks, I want to find this because it was fun. It was funny. It was great. Anyhow, apparently it is the greatest haunted house in the country, some people say, if you're into that sort of thing. I'm not. I don't watch horror movies, and I don't go to haunted houses. Anthony, what about you?
Yeah, I like a good haunted house.
I mean, this literally is the best, they say.
Do they grab at you and stuff?
Oh, my gosh. It's realistic. That's the problem. It's real.
Like, do you have to sign a waiver so that they can touch you?
Probably. I had to do that last weekend, too, but that's a different thing. So, what?
No, let's talk about that.
You're a mess. I know. I'm going to find this commercial. I am. If it's the last thing I do. Me and Deb Hart. Maybe I should call the local TV station. Hey, you got this commercial in your reel somewhere? My old friend Steve Kuhn seems to go. He goes to the archives. You know, he found me on the USS Michigan, which is a great thing I did. 25 years ago now, longer, 28 years ago, I was on the USS Michigan. At the time, a Trident-class nuclear submarine, now an Ohio-class ballistic submarine that has, packed with ballistic missiles, like the Georgia that pounded Iran during that attack. Anyhow, I digress because I'm really obsessed now with finding this commercial so I can share it with you here. Get it? Boom. All right. I'll be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right. Getting back into it now. I have somebody yelling at me because I told him that Curtis Sliwa should drop out of the race for mayor in New York. He should. Otherwise, you get Mamdani. That you get Mamdani or Cuomo. Lousy choices, I grant you. But
our guest is on hold.
It's better than what you've got right now. All right, Senator Jim Runstead is joining me. He represents Michigan's 23rd Senate District, and he has introduced a bill to reform broken rulemaking processes at the state Senate. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear your voice today. A beautiful fall here in Michigan. We got the the budget done. Not everything we wanted, but at least a step forward. Now you want to fix the rulemaking. Do tell me what you're talking about here, Jim. What do we need to do, in your estimation?
So the way things work, and this is at the federal and the state level, is that the legislature will pass bills, and they'll say, we want this bill to make this law.
Right.
And then it has to go typically to a department, and the department has to say, well, how do we implement this law? And you've got to have administrative, things that need to be done. So it's what's called rulemaking to implement that law. So the department's supposed to operate with looking at what the intent of the law is and trying to make these rules consistent with that law. And the problem is that it has gone awry on the federal and in the states, where the departments basically write the rules that sometimes have absolutely nothing to do with the law, expand upon the law to degrees that the legislature never intended, or do the opposite of what the legislature intended. The major problem is once that rule is in place, it has the force and effect of law.
Well, that's right.
So
and that's the administrative state, Jim, that we push back on every single day here. When you've got agencies, and I'll use the federal government as an example, and the same is true at the state level, but when you've got the EPA that can come in and say, well, that mud puddle in your driveway, we consider that to be water that we control, or whatever it may be. And if you violate that, their rules, they can come back and issue fines. They can take your money. Then they can come back and say, well, you're still not complying. We can take your land. Oh, you're still not complying. Oh, we can take you and put you in jail. They can take your money. They can take your freedom. That's the problem. Rules are not laws, nor should they be treated that way, and nor should these agencies have the power to take money and your liberty. That's where I come from. Your thoughts?
You're absolutely correct. And a good recent example is the Secretary of State Benson changed the election rules and said that all the local clerks are required to delete the electronic voter file 7 days after the election. And that's not consistent at all with the federal law is, and it's supposed to be a much longer period. Why she wants everything deleted within 7 days?
I can think about some reasons that she might have. Go on.
So we were asking, they said, well, it's the cost. And the cost is something like...
There is no cost.
Zip drives, it's like $350 or something for the whole state to buy zip drives to retain the information.
Right.
So, but this is her rule. And so this becomes before what's called the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. And that's where we can take a look at these. A huge problem, though, is that typically in JCAR, if you have a majority of it's Democrat or Republican, and they want to do favors to the governor, and they don't want to upset the apple cart, they will say, hey, I'm not going to contest any of the rules. So the chair alone can determine whether we're going to take a look at these. So I've looked at some of these and went, my God, these are horrendous rewrites of the law, but I sit on JCAR and cannot do anything about it. So my bill 606 said that any member of JCAR can let the chair know they're requesting review of a specific rule, and then that has to come before the committee and be heard. If you don't have that, one person in the whole state of Michigan is the only person who can determine whether that rule needs to have a look taken at it. If you get a disordered person in there or somebody that's just beholden to the administration, nothing gets done. And I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, it's wrong to have rulemaking done in this fashion so that departments can impose what really has the force and effect of law on the entire state with no legislative oversight.
Yeah. So this is the problem. You get these agencies, Jim, you know this. They get power, then they take more power, then they take more power. That's not how the country was designed. We elect people like you to represent people like me, right? That's how it's supposed to work. I didn't elect a bureaucrat, unelected, to go in and make rules and enforce rules. I mean, even the dogs hate it, Jim.
Yeah, it's something that is really anti-democratic, anti-constitutional.
It is.
To have a department head decide that they're going to make rules that we all have to live under, and there's no oversight. There was no committee process. There's no transparency, other than if the head of one committee decides to bring these forward for a look. But if that person says, no, everything's good, it's kosher, we're just going to go forward, well, there's nothing we can do. And those laws, those rules now have the force and effect of law. It's horrendous. So my guess is that my bill, as all of them, goes into the desk committee where it will not get heard. But that isn't going to stop me from banging the drum and making sure people know just how corrupt the system is.
Yeah. That system is corrupt, and it's corrupt not only in Lansing, but in Washington. It's not the way, as you point, it's antithetical to what America is supposed to be. I'm supposed to be represented. I'm not represented at these bureaucracies. I'm not represented at these agencies. And I think that you're doing the right thing. It's time to fix this problem. It's time to reel in the administrative state, both at the federal and state levels. And if it's happening at the county or local levels, there too. We need to stop this.
Absolutely. You can imagine on the state level, if we have these problems, got to be astronomically worse at the federal level, where bureaucrats sitting in their corners there are crafting all kinds of rules that we have to live under that were never, ever vetted by anybody.
You made a great point there, that we have to live under. They usually do not. They're immune to their own rules too often. Something else I think should be changed. If a law is passed, it should apply to everyone equally. Members of Congress who pass laws should not be immune to the laws they pass for everybody else, period, paragraph. Jim, thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Steve. I so appreciate being on the show.
I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you going out there and rolling up your sleeves and fighting for us every day. Jim Runstead, everybody. Greatly appreciate that, Senator. Well done. All right. So the youngest current state representative, former TPUSA staff member, Riley Linting. Riley Linting will be joining me here momentarily, I'm told. Sorry, Ivy Watch will have to be put on hold till tomorrow. I apologize.
Ivy Watch is happening, actually.
It is?
Ivy is here.
Well, what happened to Riley?
Ivy is on set.
What? I'm so confused. Anthony's taking over the show. I don't even run he's like an agency. He issues the rules around here. I'm nobody. I don't even get representation.
We understand the idea of
I get no representation here. It's a hostile takeover. It's a coup. All right, welcome back to it. We're going to continue on now. A change back, you guys, at the conversation. Your chatterboxes out there will be a lot happier because it's Ivy watching. Here she is, everybody. Ivy's in the room. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, did you see that the Secret Service had to stop somebody at the gate because they rammed a car into it late last night and tried to access the White House?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I saw that
How
on
do they even
social
get through?
media. That's why I'm on social media a lot in the morning, so I can get breaking stories like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thought
That's
you'd like
awesome.
that, yeah.
All right.
So what's on your mind?
Have you actually looked through this, heist?
Oh, my Lord. We were talking about this on the way home from football yesterday. Landon, which I never named, but our son was coming home from football. He goes, what is this heist about? What did they get? How did they do it? Well, they had a cherry picker truck, like you see people working on power lines, and they came up to the side of the building somehow. How this is not noticed is beyond me, because the jewels that were stolen from the Louvre were on the second floor. They came and they busted the window. And they were in and out in 4 minutes. The only good news about any of this is they dropped a bunch of stuff on the way out the door that was now been recovered. So, so what did you find?
Just like this whole minute by minute breakdown, like 9:30 the truck with extendable ladder arrives. And at 9:31, they raise the ladder second floor, cut through the window.
Where is the security? This is the Louvre. It's the most famous museum in the world. How does this happen?
Yeah, they get through the window, they smash 3 glass cases, grab the jewels. No alarms are triggered immediately due to the external entry. Then 9:35, they exit via the balcony to send a ladder, attempt to set a truck ablaze, I think, to cause a diversion.
Sure.
Yeah. And then they flee on motorbikes. But crazy story.
It is. So they not like scooters, or it doesn't matter. Are we ever going to see these people again? Here's the question.
I doubt it.
So here's the problem that they've. I was thinking about this when I was being asked about this about our son. He said, "Well, how do they sell that?" Well, they don't. They just break them down into the pieces and parts. But diamonds today aren't worth what they were. Pearls aren't worth what they were because of factory production now. So they're priceless the way they are. And then I heard somebody on one of the cable news stations in the radio say, well, maybe they should try to ransom them back. And I thought, if you're the museum, would you do that? I think you probably would, if they're priceless.
This happens all the time with when you have your hackers come into
Sure.
companies and then they take over the systems and they don't allow access back until
Ransomware.
they've paid a ransom to then get a security code to allow them back in.
You and I we went through this a few years ago. They attacked the main station and got into our computer. And my understanding is that the mothership back then paid, I don't know if it was Bitcoin, but it was a cryptocurrency of some sort to people in Romania, right, to get our stuff back, which worked. And so that's what I would think thieves here would do. They'd say, okay, Louvre, we've got these priceless artifacts. Give us, however many Bitcoins. Not today, though.
Do you know what they are? I mean, there's a single earring from Queen Mary.
Of Scots?
Amelie.
Oh.
An emerald necklace from Napoleon's second wife, a pair of emerald earrings, Empress Marie Louise,
Yeah,
a
royalty.
tiara.
Royal jewel. It's
from Napoleon's
the crown
III's
jewels,
wife.
right?
Yeah, large corsage bow brooch, diamond studded from Empress Eugene. So all this stuff is now gone.
Yeah, and are they going to get it back? It's like Ocean's 11 on steroids, is what it is. I mean, this is a
The
Hollywood.
stuff you see on TV, you don't believe it can
But
never happen in
I'm
real
just
life.
still so baffled. How in the world does the Louvre allow this? How can this even possibly happen? To me, it's inconceivable. It's inconceivable. They could steal the crown jewels of France
Maybe
with a cherry picker. With a cherry picker.
Very crazy.
Crazy. Is that it? That's all you got?
Oh, well, that you had asked me to come and talk about that
I
today,
did,
so.
which I think is fascinating. I think people are talking about it.
Well,
I
hold
do.
on. I'm sorry. Did you guys see the footage though?
I didn't see the footage.
No.
There was supposedly there was people filming it as it happened.
Really?
Steve, look.
I'm going to look it up.
Well, look at the screen. You might be able.
All right, you got it? All right. So wait a second. So wait, they've got. So what you're telling me, Anthony, is they got people that are filming. What are they live streaming?
I wonder if it's some sort of like group that is really hardcore. France, the meaning of the French culture, and they're going to steal them because they feel that France is
Falling?
falling, and they're like, we need to preserve this stuff. We don't deserve to have this on display anymore. France is falling. Maybe. I don't know. Another conspiracy theory for social media.
As if we don't have enough. I'm going to look this up, see if I can get. I can see it some on the screen. Yes, Anthony, I can see it. The treasure, shocking details. What footage of the crime scene reveals about the Louvre heist. I mean, this is everywhere. And you're right, it shows the thieves in action. Unbelievable. So who's doing that? You just got to say, hey, Bob, could you just take video while we steal the crown jewels of France?
I mean, but it's not unusual, Steve. You have crimes committed every day that
Well,
are being
that's true.
filmed, and nobody does anything about the crimes.
Right, but who released the film? My good friend from the jewelry industry, by the way, just sent me a text who says every great alarm system has a glass break detection system.
Wow.
They did not have that. How could the Louvre, thank you, Kevin, by the way, how could the Louvre, it just popped up there, how could the Louvre not have a glass break detection system?
Seems very odd
It's
to me.
unbelievable. Anyhow.
That hold priceless jewels.
It's only the greatest collection anywhere. The greatest, most famous museum in the world doesn't have a glass break detection system. Kevin can hook him up with a vendor for that. Ivy, thank you. Love you.
Love you.
All right, we'll take what's that,
Somebody
Anthony?
said the Museum of England might be interested in purchasing the jewels.
Yeah, maybe. Anyhow, we'll take a break and be back with some final thoughts. All right, just a few minutes left here as we dive into how could they not have glass break alarm systems? I'm just going to be noodling over that for a while because it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. There was a neutralizing of that threat at the White House. I got that from the world's number one news source, X, which, believe it or not, is the number one news source. Has anybody else on X, though, noticed lately that your For You, your thread, the news feed or whatever you call that, is loaded with things that you don't want to see? I'm getting... Now, I get stuff from both sides. I follow people left and right and center. But people are complaining they're getting a bunch of stuff they don't want. Curious if you're having the same experience. If so, go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email on that. I'd appreciate it. Good news for Republicans in the race for the United States Senate control. They have 53 seats. Now, former Senator John Sununu, New Hampshire, back in the fight. He lost to Jeanne Shaheen 12 years ago, right? Now he wants back. Oh, he lost her in 2008, excuse me. He was the senator. And he wants it back. John Sununu, former senator, good man in New Hampshire, back in the race. Sununu releasing a video. Maybe you're not surprised I'm running for Senate again. I'm a bit surprised myself. Why would anyone subject themselves to everything going on there right now? Well, somebody has to step up and lower the temperature. Somebody has to get things done. And so Scott Brown thought he might do it. He's not doing it. He was a former senator from Massachusetts. We'll see. I take that back. Scott Brown is in the race. But I think he might leave now. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll leave it there for today. Fight the good fight, my friends. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. Remember, together we can save America. We can. Work harder. Be better. Talk soon.